Welcome to the podcast from the St. Louis Sportists, an occasionally smart, always irreverent look at sports in St. Louis and beyond. And now, your St. Louis Sportists.
Hello and welcome to the podcast from the St. Louis Sportists. My name is Ron Cook, and I am joined by Joe Sperlin.
Hey, it's just like the old days. It's like halftime of an LSU football game. So
It is.
good to be here and good to visit with you.
This is how it all started. People would listen to the conversations of Joe and me talking at halftime of LSU games and say, hey, you guys should be on the radio. Well, that was before podcasts really existed. So here we are. On assignment tonight, Doug Lansdowne. Late family plans changed, but that means he's on assignment.
Yeah.
Keith Farrell is on assignment, and I warned him today. I said, when you come back, Keith, it's going to be like Elvis. It's going to be a comeback special. So I warned him, like Elvis, you'll have to wear one of those black leather suits,
That's right. That's right.
And sit there and play the guitar, as we all sit around him in a square. Not that extreme is Tom Mathis, who has business to attend to tonight. More business to attend to. Although he may drop in. You never know.
Yes. He could get his business taken care of.
That's true.
As they
TCB,
say.
another
right.
Elvis tie. I'm getting a
Yeah.
strong Elvis theme here.
Yes.
In this edition, the Cardinals go exactly 500 in May, but make some very bold roster moves. Could more be coming? Across the state, the Royals had high hopes for this season, but are in absolute full-blown collapse. And speaking of that border over there, is the Mizzou-Kansas hoops rivalry coming to a close? And is Indiana about to gain a second NFL team? How weird would that be? If you remember, could you believe that Missouri would have no NFL teams and Indiana would have two?
Yeah.
I don't know. The St. Louis Sportists are brought to you by First Coast Steel Buildings. Jason and his team will take your project from design to completion with a family-first approach. Learn more at stcoaststeel.com, and we will hear more from them and Sandra Tempelhoff later in the show. And tonight's last call is brought to you by Black Dog Consulting, LLC, here to help the one-truck owner and the small fleet owner to grow and prosper. Contact our buddy Dave at 417-217-9622. Black Dog Consulting, helping you retrieve bigger profits. If you have a minute and could leave us a review, a follow, we're about to get a cameo from Marvin the Cat here, by the way. Nope, changed his mind. Please rate us. That would really help us out. We're on X, Facebook, Instagram. Some of our videos have become TikTok sensations, Joe.
Oh, that's scary. Hey, like I said, we need to work on our dance moves, and we'll even get any more. We'll get more.
Yeah, well, I think Marvin's trying to help that out right now.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, there is Marvin the Cat. He changed his mind. And we are on YouTube at stlsportists.com. Let's lead it off with quick hits, sir. What do you have?
Ron, I'm going to start off. I have some things later on here that are not the most positive in nature that we're going to talk about. So I'm going to try to be very positive. And as you know, one of my favorite times of the year, ESPN announced their bowl game schedule recently.
I saw that.
32 games from December 12th to January 2nd, including the Puerto Rico Bowl, the new Puerto Rico Bowl, and the Xbox Bowl has been renamed. I don't know why they changed it to the Frisco Football Classic. Still Conference USA and still Sun Belt. But Ron, the one thing that disappointed me, I did not see. There was not a Poinsettia Bowl in San Diego listed.
No.
I think there is still negotiations. I heard that the Pac-12 is in, but they're arguing and discussions about who the other commitment is. That the Pac-12 does not necessarily want the leftover Big 12 or even the Mountain West. So there's supposedly negotiations on who the conference affiliations are with. So
yeah.
Now, I will say this. That trip you were planning in August to Brazil to watch NC State and Virginia, no. It
Not
is
happening.
at Charlottesville, so you can go ahead and cancel that. I know you're really looking forward to that. So
I wonder if the security people just like came back and sat down. I'm picturing a guy coming back in one of those oversized khaki shirts with all the pockets and sitting down in the president's office saying, "Sir, we can't do this."
what I read was the facilities were not, how did they word it? I think up to what they expected.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, yeah. Sir, our entire team could be taken hostage. No, we can't go.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, and I'll go back to one thing you said, and I think I am interested to see if this happens as the Cardinals take a 1-0 lead here. We're recording on Wednesday night. Mackenzie Gore, a guy with 2 last names. So we were talking about the Frisco Bowl, and they said this could be the future of bowl games because it is in the Dallas Cowboys practice facility.
Mm-hmm.
It means you don't have to sell a bunch of tickets. It's basically a soundstage almost.
Right.
And so a lot of these bowls are made for TV. So just why play it in, the Sun Bowl, which seats 60,000 people, and you're playing it in front of, 45,000 empty seats. Find a place like this, find some NFL team's indoor practice facility, play the game there. I think that's the future.
Well, I still think, like you said, you're down in Florida or wherever place you are, there's going to be places you can play. I don't think anybody's going to be upset because, we're not playing in this NFL field. And that may be part of it of selling too. But, yeah, I think they're obviously with some changes that's going to be coming in the NCAA football, there'll be some changes on that too.
Yeah, I agree. Well, so I don't know what I'm going to do for my quick hits when the World Cup is over because, again, it is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. Hey, you can't make some of this up.
You can't. You truly can't. And I am going to announce something for next week. That's some late breaking news this afternoon. Jen Cease, who does the pre and post game for St. Louis City up here, is going to join us next week for a very special World Cup 101. So if you're saying, hey, I don't completely know everything there is to know about the World Cup, join us next week and you will know everything because Jen is a soccer expert extraordinaire and she is just going to tell you everything you need. You will be an educated World Cup watcher after next week's episode. So keep that in mind. And so my quick hit again, Lionel Messi. It's not, don't ever say Lionel. No, It's Lionel Messi, who will appear, are you ready for this? There's going to be 80 major World Cup advertising campaigns. He is going to appear in 18 of them. Now, again, Joe, I'm no math expert, but that's a bunch.
Yes.
Almost a quarter, it says
almost.
Here. Almost a quarter of the World Cup ad campaigns, you're going to see the smiling, handsome face of Lionel Messi. So for the next 6 or 7 weeks, you're going to see this dude, number 10 for Argentina, and the ads are for Adidas, Anheuser-Busch, Lay's potato chips, and I'm guessing about 15 others. And you might be saying, why this guy? Well, he is the 4th most popular person in the world on Instagram. He has, are you ready for this? 600 million followers.
That's a lot.
It's more than us.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's more than the Sportists. 600 million followers. So
I was going to say he's the LeBron, the Otani, the take each whatever sports figure in the United States, each top guy, and combine them all together, and they're not close to that guy.
That would actually be a great experiment if you took like the number 1 player in each of the 4 major sports, hockey, basketball, NFL, and NBA, and added them all together. Do they equal? I don't know.
I'll tell you what, that'll be a good math project for me to send you next week, and you can use it on your World Cup extravaganza.
I will look forward to that. But until then, we have your St. Louis Cardinals again in action right now. Bases loaded for Nolan Gorman. Oh, dear Lord.
Oh, let me tell you how this is going to end. Oh, wait, he hit a home run yesterday, didn't he?
He did. He did. And that's, let's jump around a bit, because one of the items that I had here is, every once in a while, something just pops up and it's almost like it takes on almost critical mass. And it's like over the last few days, everyone has been like, how long are they going to stay with this guy? And then, you've got your people like Bernie Miklasz and others that just start looking up stats. And Bernie, looked up like over the last 1,000 or so at bats, he's like in the bottom of the left-handed hitters, like bottom 5 of the left-handed hitters in a bunch of categories,
Yeah.
One of the things that I heard today was if you sit him down or if you go away from him, that's the end of the Cardinal experiment for him, probably.
I would think so. Yeah.
And first-round draft pick, and he popped it up. He made contact, so it did not end the way you thought it was going to.
Oh, okay.
So that's an
So there
F9.
was some contact.
F9 if you're scoring at home. He calls off the second baseman. But anyway, so yeah, and it doesn't help that there's a guy named Blaze Jordan that's like hitting everything in sight down at Memphis. But the Cardinals struggled a bit. 31-28 right now. They're getting closer and closer to that 500 mark. 3-7 in their last 10. Fallen to third place, 6.5 behind those torrid Milwaukee Brewers,
who have been tearing it up lately.
Unbelievable. They're tied with the Cubs and 1 game behind those irate Pirates, who the future may be now for them. They're pretty good.
The thing about Gorman, you sit there and go, they activate Lars. What do? And it's like, okay, we gave him his shot. Here comes Lars. What do we do?
Brian Torres is a guy that doesn't hit for much power, and he's come up. I think he might go. Victor Scott's another guy who's just statistically terrible as a hitter. So, he's a candidate to go. But it wouldn't surprise me if Lars comes up again by the time you're listening. I know we said that last week, but he hit a home run today. You think Lars could be back at any time. And then, speaking of down at Memphis, you've got Mr. Baez, who is just one of the hottest hitters in all of the minor leagues. He's crushing home runs at an alarming rate. It seems like they're not going to bring him up, though, until they have a place to start him, and they want to play Lars to drive up his trade value.
Okay. Well, your stat here about May, they may sit there and say, we need some runs.
Yeah.
And baseball, I think you've got to hit it and advance people to score runs.
That's helpful.
And
it's very, very helpful.
When the bottom of your lineup is batting, what was that, under 200? What have you got here? They've scored 2 runs in or fewer in 14 of their last 28, and their record in that is 1-13.
Yeah.
2 runs. Hey, 2 runs in nowadays baseball will not win you very many games.
It will not feed the bull. Your pitching basically has to be perfect. And then what you're talking about, the top 4 in the order are hitting 263 with a 795 OPS, and the bottom 5 are hitting 215 with a 610 OPS. The league average OPS, just for comparison, is about 717. So the top 5 is the top 4 overperforming. The bottom 4 is underperforming by about 100 points there.
And the other thing I noticed, Ron, looking at that, is you're about 60 games in, and everyone in the National League now, there is starting to be, they're kind of breaking away.
Separation,
Braves,
definitely.
The Brewers and the Dodgers. Now we were talking about how close it was. Now they're like 6 games up.
Yeah, there's definite separation taking place between kind of the elite teams and then the teams like the Cardinals that, I know one of your favorite stats is, not just yours, but a lot of people like the run differential. And that's not a great stat for the Cardinals right now.
Well, not when you score 2 runs in 14 games. I mean, hey, that more math here coming, folks. That's a quarter of your games.
It really
60
is.
games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jimmy Crooks came up in our notes. I said, about damn time.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that he had much more to prove down at Memphis, plus the fact he's like 25. So, okay, it's time because, and that's through no fault of his. He played college baseball and they drafted him, and okay, so there you go. And that moves Doug's old friend Pedro Pajes to third string on the catching depth chart. It's a shame Doug wasn't here for that because Doug did say that he would be one of the first starters to lose his position. I think he may be right on this one.
Yeah. Well, and I still sit there and think, okay, you're kind of in it. You know what I mean? And you can't sit there and say, well, do we wait till the All-Star break? Because if you're not careful, you get to the All-Star break and you're 8 games behind, and you get some of those guys and say, all right, you had your shot. Let's take a look at these other guys.
Yeah. Now, the plan going into the season that everyone basically thought, except for stupid me, who actually and we have it on tape, predicted this team would make the playoffs.
Is this documented? It is documented.
It is very documented. You can find me in our prediction saying that this team would make the playoffs. But the plan otherwise was to go to the deadline, get rid of Noot, get rid of May, potentially get rid of JoJo Romero, and then bring in another haul of young players to continue to rebuild the system. And I was talking to a friend of the podcast, Nick Simmons, on Saturday night, and he said, I almost hope they're not middling around that to where they deviate from the plan. Are they better off long-term, Joe, you think, if they actually do end up kind of sliding a bit so it makes it more palatable to get rid of those? Because for Dustin May, you can get a really good prospect probably. I mean, there's going to be a team desperate for someone the way he's pitching right now.
And it's just a matter of time. You're exactly right. Someone there's going to be injuries. There's going to be somebody at the All-Star break going, we need someone, and this is what we got to do. Yeah.
And then if you're the Cardinals, you're like, we'll take your number 2 prospect. And they're like, okay, no, we can't do that. And they're like, all right, well, we got the Yankees on the line. Thanks.
Yeah. Hold on. We got to go. We got another call here. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on that. Hey, last week, to follow up on a point last week, Tink Hence is back in Memphis. He's going to try it again.
Yeah. Saw that.
So hopefully his lab work, his work in the pitching lab has regained some velocity, and we'll see what happens with it. It would be, I think you're at the point where anything you get out of him is a bonus right now.
Yeah, I think, hey, let's give him another shot, and then anything that happens, good. If not, then he's going to make that decision. So.
Nothing to lose. Coming up next for the Cardinals, the Cincinnati Reds. Joe Sperlin, you and I will be in attendance at one of those games. So
we will be on assignment.
Looking forward to that. Reporting firsthand across the state. Those Kansas City Royals, who people were making noise as potential Central Division champions. We've talked about streaks this year. They have had 3 6-game losing streaks, and they are on pace to lose 102 games this year. And so here's a fun little quiz, and this goes to our buddy Dave Reinhardt and I. He got to talking about 100-loss seasons. And so I looked up how many 100-loss seasons. First of all, if you're a Kansas City Royals fan, I'm very sorry. Okay? My condolences. How many 100-loss seasons do you think the Kansas City Royals have had in this century? Out of the 25 years, what's your guess?
7 or 8?
7. Very good.
Hey.
So
that was I was not scripted. I did not look that up.
So once again, and I'm no math expert, but 7 out of 25, Joe. You've got about a 1 in 4 chance, if you're a Royals fan, of seeing a 100-loss season.
Yeah.
Ouch.
And have one of the better players in the game, obviously, and you're going to try to move and go to a new stadium and all that other stuff. I think that's the worst, is when they're like, no, they're going to quit going, and they're going to be like, good riddance, and no one's going to go, and you're moving, and yeah.
Yeah. Same old, as I believe one of the 49ers said to the Rams at one point, same old, I'll leave out a few things, Rams. So during, I love the way the Athletic, or no, this was from the Kansas City Star. During the most recent 6-game losing streak, the Royals were outscored 48-14. And the streak was part of a larger stretch of games where they lost 16 out of 19. They're not scoring well, they're not pitching well, and it does go back to some of their other 100-loss teams where they've got a bunch of good young players, but they're just not putting it together.
Yeah, and there's not enough of them.
No, because it seems like they always have those stopgap guys.
Yeah.
I will never forget and I'm pretty sure that this was 2000. In fact, I know it was 2006. We were up at watching the Cardinals Royals on a weeknight, and between innings they try to do like the player features, and they were doing a big thing about Matt Stairs, like driving fear into the hearts of opponents. It's Matt Stairs. And then he comes up leading off the next inning, and he's hitting .269 with 2 home runs. And I'm like, oh, dear Lord. And this was when the Cardinals, in 06, you had, Roland and Edmonds and Pujols. And I'm like, we're not even going to loan you a guy, good luck. Good luck. One of the other favorite guys we've been watching is Jacob Misiorowski in Milwaukee. He had a nice little run here. He struck out 57 hitters in his last 6 games, gave up 1 run and 14 hits. No one has ever done that before, ever in the history of baseball. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and he brings it. You just say how long can that guy do that?
That's gonna be the question.
Yeah.
He had a game recently where his first 20 pitches were over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. Wow.
So I know we've said before it's like going against a closer, but it truly is.
Yeah.
Your buddy, Mr. Tariq Skubal, pitched a simulated game on Monday. And considering that Detroit, a year ago at this time, had the best record in baseball, and this year they have the worst record in baseball, they've upped it to 7 teams he may be traded to now.
Well, like I said, that would be like a tryout. Like, hey, here's what he did. He can pitch, and he'll be ready to go for you whenever he's ready. Yeah, that was an advertisement.
Yeah. I think I just see him in the playoffs somehow this year,
Yeah, and you know what? If you're sitting there saying, hey, we'll wait and take him ready to go in August, and we'll be happy with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because we say at the same time, we know who he's going to.
Mm-hmm.
There's about 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah. And we know there's no tampering, but we know that there's also ways that people that are, 3 ways disconnected can pass a note, who passes a note to someone, who passes a note to someone that says to his agent, tell him to take his time coming back.
Yes. We'll be fine with that.
Exactly. Yeah. No problem. Up in New England, the Boston Red Sox are 9-20 at home. Hey, that's the worst home start they've had in 94 years. Is that bad?
That is. Well, at least you can say, hey, they're first in something. The worst start. Yeah. We are successful in that.
94 years. They also were doing something that apparently they are the first team to practice ABS challenges.
I saw that. I don't know if June was the time to do that. I think on those days off in March would have been great to do that at the single A complex there, to having the camera and all that. Well, like, what do you think that was? Ball or strike? What do you think? No, that's not even close. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think they could. You'd think they might have done that a little bit earlier. You're right. Speaking of ABS, they said that umpires have missed. This blew me away that they've missed 9,000 calls, but I guess they miss a certain number per day, and ABS has overturned 2,000 of them. What are you thinking of the ABS so far, Joe?
Now, I'm going to ask this. And I did not see, what was Major League Baseball's comment on that? Like, this is the number they expected, more or less? Are they saying about what we expected, this is why we're doing it, or this is not? Yeah. No comment?
No, yeah, exactly. Going back to what I have done for 36 years, there's a conversation where it's like, do we gain anything at all by saying anything about this? No?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then we're not going to say anything, are we?
You think that the umpires union would say something? No. I mean, you know
No.
what I mean? I just wonder what their intentions were of, hey, my thoughts were the intention was at the end of the game or somewhere where the base is loaded of a very tight, that's when they're going to do it, not when it's the leadoff hitter in the third inning, you know?
Well, or if you watched the Cardinal game last night, they were out in the top of the second. Jordan Walker challenged one that was clearly a strike. It was a strike three, and there goes one, and then I believe it was Crooks challenged a second one. No, it was Herrera, and he missed it. So there you are in the top of the second, and they are out of challenges.
Yeah. I don't know if that's, if, if anybody make a comment, I don't think that's what they intended it to do. And I don't think
No.
that's what I don't think anybody would have said, yeah, that's going to get appealed when there's no runners on in the second inning.
So going back to what the umpires union would say, I think the umpires have actually come out of this like better than they expected, because people are saying, that pitch was off by 1/16 of an
Yes.
inch. Man, calling balls and strikes is really hard.
That's exactly like I said. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that by a quarter of an inch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it clipped the little box there. Oh, geez, sorry, I missed that.
I'll try to do better next time.
Yeah, yeah.
So, MLB correspondent at large Joe Sperlin, what's catching your eye around the league?
There's a couple things that I like here, Ron, and it was our buddy in the Angels, Joe Adell. He pulled a Jose Canseco, but looked a lot more athletic doing it.
He did. And he's responsible for, in my mind, the best baseball photo of the year, which was the one he caught where he tumbled into the stands.
Yes.
Stands up in the stands, and he's got the ball, and like a fan took the picture, which makes it even better. And he's got like both arms in the air, the crowd's going nuts, and it's like a baseball photo for the ages. And then Here we are 2 months later, and a ball hits his head and goes over the fence.
Hey, and I think when anybody shows that, then they're going to come back and show the 3 catches he made in the one game, and no one's going to say anything. Like I said, and every time they showed it today of Jose Canseco, how unathletic he looked trying to even run, and he bashes into the wall and it goes off his head. And I mean, the other thing, Matt Olson, and I don't know how they do that. I guess it's kind of tough when they say Lou Gehrig's day today on the anniversary of Lou Gehrig's death of ALS. He has a consecutive game streak of 844 games.
Huh.
And they kind of act like that's a pretty big deal. He's still 1,300 games from Cal Ripken. I mean, hey, good job. You still got 9 more years to catch Cal. So, which every time they flash something like that, you're like, the 2,130 games is amazing.
Yeah, it's completely amazing. And, then Steve Garvey, a guy that we grew up watching, he had a fantastically long streak. And I remember what happened. He had a foul ball that bounced up, and I want to say it broke his, like a bone in his forearm or something. And that ended his streak. And that's another guy. We got into or I shouldn't say an argument, but a discussion. If you look at his career, he is not in the Hall of Fame, but he was an MVP. He was an All-Star Game MVP. He was a world champion. He hit, I want to say, 200 home runs and change. Gold Glove. Okay. Man, Hall of Fame's getting to be a harder and harder call, more difficult call these days.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
So,
and he's one that's in there. Hey, speaking of the Dodgers, and once again, Ron, here's my first negative aspect.
Uh-oh.
Did you see the CBA talks for baseball today?
Yes.
The salary cap. And I don't remember what the term was, but they said pretty much we were deeply offended by the offer you gave us.
Yeah.
Now, here's something that I saw that just amazed me. And you talk about salary caps on how the better teams don't want salary caps, but let me think of this. The Dodgers have a payroll of $446 million.
Unbelievable.
The Miami Marlins have a payroll of $69 million. The Dodgers pay $100 million in the luxury tax of being over their little unnotified cap.
Right.
So the penalty or the tax that it all goes and they spread it out through everyone. It goes to retired players reserves and it goes to all these things. The Dodgers pay $100 million and the Miami Marlins have a payroll of $69 million. So when you talk about a cap and they talk about a floor and a ceiling, there's got to be teams like Miami going, I don't want to spend $100 million.
The Cardinals would have to spend another $100 million.
But I mean, you're sitting there saying whatever the cap is, hey, we've all got to be there. And they're like, well, we need to make this balance. You got some of these teams going, well, wait a second. If we wanted to spend that money, we'd spend it.
Right.
As I was reading that today, it was like, I don't want to be, but this is not good.
No,
and
it's not.
Still early, but it's not even remotely like they are.
They are
far away.
To quote our old friend Journey, worlds apart.
Yes.
And I one of the things I saw just basically said it's going to come down to salary cap or no salary cap, and both sides are dug in on it, and that's bad.
And
that's bad.
We all know what happens when they both dig in, as you flash back to 1994.
Yeah, and 1981, 81, which your Cincinnati Reds had the best record in baseball.
That's right.
Make the split season
in the split
playoffs.
season.
So with that, we have reached the halfway point, and it is time to hear from the good folks at First Coast Steel Buildings. After the break, is the Mizzou-Kansas rivalry in trouble? A Texas-sized smack talk incident has taken place. And good news for your St. Louis Battlehawks. All this and more when we come back.
Spring storm and tornado season has arrived. Are you prepared? Why not build a new steel barndominium or outbuilding that will have you ready to weather the storms? Do you want your next home or building to be engineered for the proper wind loads for your area? Then look no further than First Coast Steel Buildings. First Coast Steel offers excellent material value and can help to reduce your insurance costs. And they can help you with your needs right here in the Midwest, where we see tornadoes and flooding, along with infestations of mold, rodents, and termites. Let First Coast Steel design your next building project and keep you and your family safe. Call 912-314-4848 or get inspired and design your own by visiting them online at stcoaststeel.com. Storms will happen. Prepare yourself with a new First Coast Steel building. Discounts for military and first responders.
And we are back on the St. Louis Sportists podcast. Along with Joe Sperlin, my name is Ron Cook, and, interesting things happen in the off-season in college football, and especially down in the state of Texas, where there is no off-season for college football. And Texas Tech has found themselves with a lot of money, Joe Sperlin.
Yes, in all their sports.
In all of their sports. And recently, Steve Sarkisian, the head coach of the Texas Longhorns, said there's a school that we could go undefeated playing our 2s and 3s, meaning their second and third string, referring to Texas Tech. A booster said, you know what, we will buy out Texas's first game and our first game so we can play them in week 1. I believe in poker that is a call, Joe Sperlin.
And I think Texas will not even, hey, nice marketing. We're not even going to respond to this. We are not going to reply. Do not say anything to them.
Yeah. Just ignore them. Keep walking.
It's going to be really good with them playing in Oklahoma City with the softball championships again. So I'm sure it'll be brought up and there'll be words said and it'll be very interesting.
Yeah. And in case you're wondering, you say, why would Texas not, put their team where their mouth is. Well, guess what? They schedule this game because in week 2, they play a little team called Ohio State.
Yeah.
And they scheduled this very purposely to have kind of a shakedown cruise before taking on the Buckeyes.
Did Texas State end up shooting their mouth off in there too about, hey, we'll play you, Texas Tech? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's getting into it now. It's like we said last week, if you've got a microphone in front of your face now at this point, you can't waste that.
I've got to keep my school and my name in all of this. So
yes. In something that goes to the changing face of college and something that just kind of blew my mind yesterday, Utah, the University of the Runnin' Utes, have started a venture capital fund to pump a lot of money and apparently have a lot of influence on their athletic operations because they fired a bunch of coaches yesterday. Joe, can you explain this one?
The way I understood it, what I read was they were getting people out of there that are more business instead of athletics. Now, and by the way, you can come back and apply for your old job if you'd like. And there is a chance we could hire you back, but we're really looking for people that are going to run it more like a business.
Correct.
Now,
that was Tom Mathis's exact line.
Yes. As I always say, what are they going to do when they sit there and go, do you realize how much the men's and women's tennis programs cost us? Or how much money we've lost on the men's and women's cross country try any sports? And they said, oh, no, we're not going to do that. But then after a while, they're going to sit there and say, okay, this is what we're here for, and we're losing money because of this, this, and this. We got to fix it.
Yep. And there won't be a discussion.
No, there won't be a discussion because you don't have a voice in it because that's why we're in charge.
That's why there's a venture capital fund. They're pumping millions and millions of dollars in. I immediately went to, when Tom said that, I went back to the classic North Dallas 40 with Nick Nolte and B.D. Spradlin saying, and of course this was about pro football. It's like, whenever I say it's a sport, you say it's a business. And when you say it's a business, except that was about pro football, but here we are in college. The Mizzou-Kansas hoops, this is the last year on the contract, this upcoming game, and word out of Columbia, and this is back to our buddy John on the Locked On Mizzou podcast. He said that there are no discussions to continue this at this point. Now, he's like, that doesn't necessarily mean it's over because it came about very quickly the last time. And, we saw how quickly the SLU Mizzou game came about. Is this a cause for concern for this rivalry?
Perhaps they're waiting for someone to come forward with some money and say, hey, how would you like to play at this venue each year? And we will put this money in your NIL fund. As in Gonzaga and Duke and Michigan and some of those people have done. So that could be a possibility of sitting there saying they're going to play, I don't know, hey, we'll come down to Great Southern Arena in Springfield. It's got to be an equal distance from both of you, or, yeah.
Well, and one of the points they made was it just doesn't mean what it used to when it was a conference game. It's like kind of, okay, and I went to this game, this last year in Kansas City. And it was okay. We don't like them. They don't like us, but it was like, okay, once it was over, it's like, okay, well, when does the conference play start?
Well, and I still think a lot of people, you're getting to that, you're going to play an out-of-conference game that means something.
Yeah. Yeah. And for Mizzou, that was actually one of their higher-ranked non-conference games last year.
Yeah.
In the never-ending saga that is Brendan Sorsby, we found out on Friday that he admitted to wagering at least, are you ready for this, for a college student? Not bad, $90,000 on more than 9,000 bets over the course of his college career. Get this, an online sports book tipped off the NCAA to his gambling after the book had been approached by law enforcement. He gambled on accounts registered under his own name and those of friends and family members. Okay, that's a college student doing that. And he used platforms such as Hard Rock Bet, FanDuel, Underdog, and Prize Picks. That's rather complex for a college student. He's received public support for reinstatement from Texas Tech, including the school president, the athletic director, and the head coach, but the NCAA sports betting guidelines stipulate penalties of, here we go, again, permanent ineligibility for an athlete betting on their own team, which he did.
Yeah.
So, is he toast?
Yeah. I don't even know how they can even pretend now that those numbers had come out, how you can even do that. And then,
Yeah.
I mean, then you're sitting there under your name and the accounts and everything, and you're talking about $90,000, and that was even before he had a substantial NIL.
Yeah, and I'm no attorney, but I mean, when you bring other people into it, are you not into conspiracy territory here? I mean, seriously.
Well, I think you're in there where they're going to sit there and say you were, I mean, yeah, wire fraud. I mean, those things. I mean, whatever they want to call it. I mean, it wasn't his making the betting, you know, that family, friends, and yeah, they would frown on that. I mean, I think the $90,000 on 90 bets, and they have that he made it over his teams. I mean, it's right there in the print of, hey, you're done.
Yeah, you're officially finished. So, well, we'll see which crazy NFL team decides to take a chance on him, because
I think it'll be a while. He needs to do something. He needs to, like we said last week, or the UFL Canada. He needs to. He probably just needs to be a year off and then go from there. I don't see how an NFL team would even touch him.
You're not buying that he's cured in 28 days because he's gone through the 28-day program.
No, 9,000 bets. That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a major.
Yeah.
In college. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
And with that, it's time to tie up loose ends. Well, here in St. Louis, just across the river, they were watching the Illinois state legislature because they were trying to come up with money to keep the Bears in Illinois. They did not. And the Bears said they were going to make a decision in late spring or early summer. Hey, it's late spring.
It's early summer.
Uh-huh. It appears the Bears may be going to Hammond, Indiana, which is 20 miles southeast of Chicago. And they claim it's not over yet. Arlington Heights in Illinois is where the stadium would be. Joe, do you think that, like, the fact that the Chiefs have jumped a state, like, makes this more or less likely, or is this just apples and oranges?
Oh, I think it's just that we can do it. I mean, it's possible. And if you're not going to do it, we've threatened and said it all this time. If you're not, we got these other people over here. It's just amazing to me. But like I said, I'm not in the financial part of it or the owners of the Bears, but I know my dad would be sitting there going, what in the hell are you talking about? So, I mean, everything I've seen is they're done because as he was saying, as you said again, Ron, they called their bluff over the $1 billion, and they're like, okay, yeah, we call. You call.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, we're going to sit here and stare at each other.
Yeah. Oh, gee, it looks like I have a 2, a 7, a jack.
Yeah. So do I.
This is no good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we were in high school when we were talking about if every team was actually, so I think we had at that time like the Meadowlands Giants and the the East Rutherford Giants and the Irving Cowboys, and so this is nothing
Hey, here's
new.
what I was thinking today. Let's just make things interesting, okay? These teams, then you'd have to worry about tanking in the NFL. But then you sit there and go, all right, in the past 5 years, you have overall have the worst record, okay? So every team, you get the number one pick. All right, you get to go to whatever city and stadium you want for the next 5 years. The worst team gets to pick that. So they sit there and say, all right, we're the Jets. Okay. Yeah, we're going to Los Angeles. We're going to New England. We're going to this. And everyone just drafts. And then the Seahawks go, wait, we have to go to the Jets? We have to go to... So, yeah, you don't like your little situation. Hey, go find out what it's like somewhere else. So that would make things interesting.
Oh, that would be fun to do on Madden, I'm sure.
Yeah.
By the way, before we leave the NFL, I just it reminded me, I saw this FIFA back to our World Cup. They're having games at Jerry's World down in Dallas, and they took one look and they said, "Oh, and we're absolutely putting curtains up over that stupid blinding glass." And of course Jerry's like, "Okay."
And I can't wait until the NFL players walk in there and go, "Huh. Yeah, this is pretty good." Yeah.
So you can do it for the World Cup.
So it is possible. And then Jerry would go, do you know how much money they're paying me for this, boys?
Well, I think he'd use the line like when Bob Costas said, if you were if someone had performed as GM the way you have, you'd fire him. I believe, one of his lines, well, it's different.
Yeah.
Right. So MLB, the Sports Illustrated came out with rankings for MLB expansion. These are widely viewed as kind of what I have seen. Number 1, Nashville, 2, Salt Lake, 3, Portland. That's kind of I've seen those two flip-flopped between Salt Lake and Portland. 4, Charlotte, 5, Sacramento, and 6, as they call them, the sentimental favorite, Montreal. They've said that of these, Nashville is the one that is basically the only, what did Jimmy the Greek used to call his prohibitive favorites? Remember the Jimmy the Greek slide, prohibitive favorites?
Yes.
Okay. So that's Nashville. Otherwise, they're all still kind of like, having backroom meetings and offering steak dinners.
There's none of those teams that I would sit there and go, yeah, they should have a Major League Baseball franchise.
No, and it came out this week that a couple of the owners have said, we're not adding any major cities here. We're adding a bunch of like second-tier smaller cities. Is this really good for us? But, Rob Manfred, and if you're a regular listener, you know how I feel about Rob. He has said that is one of his objectives before he leaves in 2 years, is to add 2 more teams. So apparently it gonna happen. Shock. It's weird when an NFL trade actually moves the Super Bowl favorite.
Yeah.
And that happened this week when Myles Garrett went to the Rams. The Rams moved from a 14% favorite to a 17%. I shouldn't say favorite, but their chances went from 14 to 17, and they became the favorite to win the Super Bowl on that one trade.
Yeah. Hey, I'm sitting there thinking when I saw that very first, and I thought, my God, him on one end and Jared Verse on the other. And then it flashed up there, and I went, hey, to get something, you got to give up something. But then the possible return of Aaron Donald.
Yeah, he did not, kind of douse the fire, so to speak. He, if anything, shot a little lighter fluid on it. He's like, that's something I could certainly be interested in. So, just bring back a guy. The only thing that, the only downside for Donald is it would put his Hall of Fame induction off by a few years.
Well, and I also, he posted a video and the background music was something like, I'm coming back, or that was the name of the song, or I'm back, or I will be back, or something like that. Probably wasn't an accident, but
At this point, it's a very poorly kept secret as the Spurs hit a 3. I've got New York and San Antonio. They're estimating, by the way, that there could be seats for $300,000 when this goes to New York. By the way,
just like the World Cup.
Indeed. And finally, our last loose end, former Los Angeles Angels, Baltimore Oriole, and Milwaukee Brewer player Jordan Adams is going to go back to school. He's a 26-year-old ex-first-round pick, and he's going to play for SMU. He's going to play football. He was a former top 100 recruit. But, Joe, here's the thing. He would not be eligible if the college football were to go to this new thing where you've only got 5 years and you got to be finished by the time you're 25.
Yeah, that is true. Unless they have the famous, but supposedly no exceptions.
There's no exceptions.
Would that be one?
I don't think so. And, I believe it was Tom that brought up Chris Winkie, Heisman Trophy winner, who followed a similar path to this guy. Went off, tried some baseball, didn't work, came back, had eligibility, and was very successful at Florida State.
The Harrison receiver down at Arkansas.
Yeah.
That was, I think, a number 1 draft pick, and then went to baseball. Now he's back at school.
Yeah. And that ties up the loose ends, which brings us to the last call, brought to you by Black Dog Consulting. With over 38 years in the transportation industry, Dave knows where to look to find those pennies per mile that make the difference between just getting by and profit and growth. From one-truck operations to small fleet owners, he has a proven multi-million-dollar track record to help you retrieve bigger profits. Contact Dave at 417-217-9622 or David at blackdogconsultingllc.net. You can also check out the website blackdogconsulting.net. For those of you that have never watched this on YouTube, there's 2 points where I get to give it the old Kent Brockman from The Simpsons. If you remember, Kent used to basically stick his index finger directly into the camera. He would say, "This reporter blames you," and I get to do that on 2 commercial reads. So anyway, Mr. Sperlin, what is your last call?
Well, you have seen the legislation that's coming through, brought through by a representative from Missouri.
Eric Schmidt, yes.
Eric Schmidt, yeah. About all the changes in the NIL and the eligibility and all that other stuff. Well, they had meetings today, and of course, the unnamed, I'll name myself, commissioner of college football, Nick Saban, was one of the speakers.
Yes, he was.
And he says that needs order to the system that badly needs fixing. And he kind of said names today about Clemson's and Ohio or Ole Miss trying to steal that guy. So he used names. I thought it was amazing of the people that spoke. One of them, the Notre Dame AD. Pac-12 commissioner. and the Big 12. So they're in favor of all this. Would you like to take 2 guesses on the conferences that were not in support of this?
Oh, how about the SEC and the Big Ten?
And there you have it. Oh, would that also be the same people that are in favor of the 24-team expansion and the one group that's not? So we're getting that divide, and it was even brought up today. If this does not get fixed, it will cause them to split and start their own. So they're even giving you the warning of, if we don't get our way, we're going to take our ball, and more importantly, we're going to take our money and keep it all for ourselves. Because, Ron, I would like to say that the point is, ladies and gentlemen, that greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. League works.
And there you have it from Blue Horseshoe. Yes.
Hey, because when this all comes down, you got TV contracts coming out in a couple years, and they'll start negotiating here soon. And then it's going to be well, hold on, we're going to do our own thing. Who do they split the money with? Not the NCAA anymore. We get to keep it all. We'll bring it all in. It is going to be an interesting time in college athletics, more and more.
I have just come up with the name. The Big Ten and the SEC are going to form MCF, Major College Football.
Yeah. Well, and what's going to be interesting is when they sit there and say, all right, we're going to combine this, and Rutgers says, woohoo! Oh, I'm sorry, you're not coming with us. And Vanderbilt goes, yeah, great idea. Oh, hey, Vandy, you're not coming with us. Sorry.
And both of those guys will find themselves like in the I believe it was Dr. No, when they had the button that they could push that would just put them, flip them back into the fire.
Yes. They're back in the lava. You're in the molten hot lava.
Yes.
So, hey, like I said, I hate to be hey, so what have I already said? Well, we're going to have I don't want to say the words disruption of the possible baseball season, and then college football just exploding. So I hate to be that guy, but that's coming, folks.
Yeah, you're kind of like the Addams Family. You've got a little rain cloud going over you tonight.
Yes, that is me tonight. I'm sorry.
All right, well, they say to never end on a down note, so I'm gonna bring us up.
Here we go.
My last call is the average UFL attendance numbers for 2026. You had Birmingham 8,200, Columbus 10,003, Dallas 6,400, DC exactly 9,000, Houston 5,600, Louisville 11,195, Orlando 9,830. And then your St. Louis Battlehawks, 23,239. Yeah, I started to say twice. Yeah, twice as much. Yeah, twice as much as anyone else there in the UFL. So the Battlehawks lead the way in attendance, and this Sunday night, 5 p.m., they are in the playoffs against Louisville. And since there's only 8 teams, there's only basically a semifinal and then the championship game. So big game for the Battlehawks this Sunday. They're playing to go to the championship game. They are without question the most successful UFL franchise. And, it's great to see. Ricky Prohl, the head coach, they've the number one defense in the entire UFL.
As you expected with Ricky Prohl.
the great defensive mind that is Ricky Prohl. So,
Ron, how are the TV ratings been for them? I've watched some of the games. I mean, I've not sit down and sit there, but I mean, I've watched it.
The ratings are very, very good in terms of their they've blown away the MLS, which you might say, well, gee, that's not a very high bar, and you might have something there, but no, they're very, very pleased with the TV ratings, and especially for this time of year, because we've talked about how you get down to limited options because your other sports, I'm looking there at the NBA Finals, so you're into a lot of baseball right now. You got baseball, you got golf, and you got racing. It's not like in winter when you've got so many things to pick from. So it'll go weekends where it's like the second or third most watched thing on a weekend. They're apparently ESPN/ABC very pleased with what they're seeing, and so is like FS1 too. So they're expanding next year. So it appears that this is the most solid footing we've seen for spring football. This is despite the many attempts that go all the way back, World League of American Football, which was
right.
I don't remember that, but you and I sure do remember the USFL in the early 80s.
Yes.
So, good news for your St. Louis Battlehawks.
That's right.
And with that, we have reached the end of this episode of the St. Louis Sportists Podcast. Joe Sperlin, thank you, sir.
Ron, I appreciate it. I will get on my assignment you gave me for next week on that, and I'm interested in listening to that soccer World Cup preview.
Yeah,
Enjoyed it as always.
Should be a hoot. And we want to thank all of you for joining us on this episode of the St. Louis Sports Podcast. And until next week, take care.
And that wraps another episode of the St. Louis Sportists Podcast. Please like and subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest episodes. You can find these guys on all major podcast platforms. And thanks for listening.